As some people may know, I'm pretty cheap when it comes to account upgrades. Whether you spend real money or gold to get your gems, it's good to use them on things that are actually useful. Some account upgrades are really impactful, others not so much. In this video, I'll go over the most useful items in the Gemstore and why they're great upgrades for your account. I'll also quickly cover why some of the other upgrades aren't as good of a value, and then finish with stuff that you just flat out shouldn't buy. Let's get started. I was debating whether to include Living World episodes in this video and decided that I will. It's hard to put them in the same category as any other upgrades in this video because they actually give you additional content to play, so they're sort of on their own level and you should get them all if you can. If you're buying them one at a time and don't care about playing the story in order, then I'd recommend starting out with Season 4, then Icebrood Saga, then Season 3, and then Season 2. This gives you access to the more recent and better made story episodes first. It also lets you get the most impactful unlocks like Skyscale earlier on. Getting into the rest of the upgrades, we'll begin by taking a look at the 3 Gemstore salvage kits. The first one is the copper-fed Salvage-o-Matic. This kit costs 3 copper per use and functions identically to a basic salvage kit. It won't save you a lot of gold or give you any functional advantage, but it definitely has a really big quality of life boost because you won't have to constantly buy basic salvage kits every time that you get a bunch of loot. I'd really recommend getting this when you can. The next salvage kit is the Runecrafter Salvage-o-Matic. This kit costs 30 copper per use and does not have any alternatives that can be bought from NPC vendors. This kit has a 100% chance of salvaging the runes and sigils inside of a piece of gear, giving you a higher amount of materials used to craft those upgrades, hence the name Runecrafters. The ideal use of this kit is for pieces of green gear, which do have upgrades in them but don't drop ectos when they're salvaged. This kit not only has a huge quality of life advantage over using basic salvage kits, it also has a big functional advantage and you'll get more materials from your green gear using this kit. So I definitely recommend watching for it to go on sale and getting it early on for your account. The last salvage kit is the silver-fed Salvage-o-Matic. Despite what the name suggests, this kit only uses 60 copper per use and functions identically to a Mystic or Master salvage kit. Out of the 3 Gemstore salvage kits, this one is the least useful. It saves almost nothing compared to just using Master salvage kits, and because rare gear is less common, it's less of a hassle to deal with Master salvage kits than it is to deal with the basic salvage kits. On top of that, the silver-fed Salvage-o-Matic is actually more expensive than the Mystic salvage kit, which you can craft in the Mystic Forge using Mystic Forge stones. Once you've used all of your Mystic Forge stones, the silver-fed Salvage-o-Matic is a solid quality of life boost for more active players. For most players, the Mystic Salvage Kit is the best option, and it will take them a very long time to run out of Mystic Forge stones. Moving on, we have my favorite item in this entire video, the Permanent Lounge Passkeys. There's currently 9 permanent lounges in the game, each with its own passkey. You only really need to own one passkey, as most of the important features are available in all of the lounges. You can use your passkey to teleport to its respective lounge from pretty much anywhere in the game. Using certain passkeys when you're in the lounge will transport you back to your previous location. This feature allows you to use the lounge to make a quick pit stop in between events or instance content runs. The lounges provide convenient access to crafting stations, the Mystic Forge, a standard Black Lion merchant, the trading post, your bank, the guild bank, and various other useful vendors for things like Black Lion claim tickets, Black Lion statuettes, dungeon rewards, laurels, karmic gathering tools, and more. You can also use the portal in most lounges to teleport to any of the racial cities in central Tyria for free. If you're like me and love to skimp on waypoint costs, you can actually save a few silver just by using the portal to get closer to your destination before waypointing there. Basically, lounges take all of the important stuff that you'd go to Lion's Arch for and put it in a convenient configuration for you to access at the use of your passkey. While most of the lounges do share the same features, I'd like to highlight 3 lounges that I'd recommend over the rest. The first one is Mistlock Sanctuary. This lounge is the one that you've been looking at this whole time and is my personal favorite. The unique features that Mistlock provides are direct access to the Fractal portal, as well as all of the vendors that would be in the Fractal lobby. This makes Mistlock a really great passkey for players that like to do fractals on a regular basis, or for those that like to buy fractal encryption keys as part of their daily routine. You can also yeet yourself around like a goober. The second one is Armistice Bastion. This lounge allows you to see which team has captured what in World vs. World without actually being on one of the maps, so you can preserve your participation. You can also access World vs. World vendors and duel other players in the arena. Obviously, it's ideal for players that enjoy World vs. World. The third one is the Thousand Seas Pavilion, which is the newest lounge released with End of Dragons. This lounge provides various functions for End of Dragons activities, such as fishing in the lounge, teleports to fishing locations outside of the lounge, and a Jadebot workbench. It's mostly ideal for players that enjoy fishing, or want the aesthetics of Cantha. All three of these lounges also have passkeys that will teleport you back to your previous map, so they have that advantage over some of the others as well. If one of these passkeys sounds appealing to you, keep an eye out for when it goes on sale. The lounge passkeys are fairly inexpensive, but if you want an even cheaper option, you could also upgrade Eye of the North or Arborstone and get some of the same features that come in a lounge for a bit less gold. Next up are Gobbler Packs. There's 3 of these, but I'm only going to recommend 2 of them. The first one that I'd recommend is the Candy Corn Gobbler Pack. This item is available during Halloween and consumes 3 candy corn per use. In exchange, it will reward you with random Halloween transformations and boosters. It's basically a renewable source of experience, karma, and magic find boosters, and it's relatively cheap to use. This item is extremely valuable in the long term for gold farming, so get it the next time that it's available. The second one that I'd recommend is the Snowflake Gobbler Pack. This requires 5 snowflakes per use and can either give you a Winter's Day gift or a festival boost. The Festival Boost is a unique buff that gives a 25% bonus to experience and gold from kills, as well as a 25% bonus to World vs. World and PvP reward track progress. While it's not as good as the Candy Corn Gobbler, it is another unique buff that you couldn't get otherwise, so I would recommend getting this item if you can. The third Gobbler is the Zytaffy Gobbler, which is essentially the same as the Snowflake one, except it costs 25 Zytaffy per use and occasionally gives a Dragon Bash coffer instead of a Winter's Day gift. The Snowflake Gobbler is cheaper to use and it gives the same boon, which is why I'd recommend that one over the Zytaffy Gobbler. Now I'm going to talk about upgrades that affect the storage space on your account. These include shared inventory slots, bag slot expansions, bank tab expansions, material storage expansions, and additional character slots. If you're heavy into gold making, some of these upgrades can have a functional benefit, but mostly they're just quality of life upgrades. I played for years and made tens of thousands of gold before getting any of these, so you definitely don't need to buy them, but they're nice to have in the long run. Because you're often going to be buying several of these upgrades at a time, it's a very good idea to pay attention to large Gemstore sales and buy all of the storage upgrades you want during those sales. Doing this will save you a lot of money or a lot of gold. Starting off, I'd like to cover the cheapest possible way to increase raw storage space on your account, which is by purchasing character slots and filling the new characters with 18 or 20 slot bags. This gives you access to 92 to 100 inventory slots for a fairly cheap price while also giving you an additional character that has more benefits. You can use this additional character for things like alt parking, map completion, birthday gifts, or more build and gear templates. As far as gold per slot is concerned, this is much cheaper than any of the other storage upgrades, and is also cheaper than crafting 28 or 32 slot bags. I'd recommend this method for anyone having general storage issues, but there's still reasons you might want to get some of the other upgrades, so I'll run through those as well. Shared inventory slots are a great way to keep some of the most important items easily accessible on all of your characters. I'd recommend getting them for things like the Gemstore salvage kits, lounge passkeys, portal tomes, and permanent contracts. You get a discount for buying several shared inventory slots at a time, so I'd advise doing that instead of buying them individually. Shared inventory slots are about as useful as whatever you put in them, so make sure that you're only buying them if you have important items to use in them. Material storage expansions give an additional 250 space for almost every crafting material in the game. They sound really nice, but really there's only a few materials that you need to worry about having stacks and stacks of, like mithril and elderwood. My advice with these is to just get 1 or 2. That will significantly reduce how often you need to clear out the full slots in your material storage while also costing you very few gems. Bank tabs are great for storing items that you want available on all your characters, but don't need to have immediate access to. Some players will be fine with the one that you get for free, while others can find uses for several more. Much like the material storage expansions, my advice with bank expansions is to start out with 1 or 2 if you think that you need them. From there, you can determine if there's a need for you to buy more. A lot of players use bank tabs to try and make up for their bad inventory management habits. Doing this will cost a lot more gems than using alt characters, and in most cases will cause more frustration in the future once their bank tabs fill up with random stuff. Don't buy bank tabs to make up for a cluttered inventory. It doesn't work. Bag slot expansions can get very expensive when you start buying them for multiple characters. My advice with bag slot expansions is to pick 1 to 3 characters that you use the most and get the most loot on from doing farms, metas, fractals, and other stuff like that. Then, only buy the bag slot expansions for those characters. This way, you can prevent an inventory crisis from happening mid-run. At the same time, you're not spending too many gems on bag slots. Like bank tabs, additional bag slots will not fix any inventory management issues that you have, and it's still cheaper to buy more character slots if you want to increase the raw storage capacity on your account. Make sure to keep those things in mind when you're debating on whether bag slot expansions are worth it to you or not. So those are all of the best items available in the Gemstore. I've divided most of the remaining items into 2 categories. The first one is low priority upgrades or personal preference items. The other one is for items that you flat out should not buy. I'm going to lump the first few personal preference items together. These would be the build templates, gear templates, and additional crafting licenses. My general recommendation would be to ignore these and just buy additional character slots instead. You can make characters of the same profession which will have their own build and gear templates, as well as 2 additional crafting slots. You'll also get the rest of the benefits that come along with having extra characters, like we talked about before. Stuff like storage space, birthday gifts, and access to alt parking. However, if you're really attached to using a specific character, or would rather spend the extra gems and not have to swap characters to use some of your builds or crafting disciplines, then buying these may still be worth it to you. They're just not a good value for most players. Next up is infinite use gathering tools. This may be a bit controversial to say, but you don't really need infinite use gathering tools. They can definitely be convenient, but if you only harvest valuable nodes, you don't need to replace gathering tools very often. If you're interested in them for the glyph rewards, you can always buy karmic gathering tools instead of regular ones and still have access to the glyph rewards without infinite use tools. Another thing to consider is that you can only have the infinite use gathering tools on 1 character at a time. Of course, many people will still want to buy infinite use gathering tools in the Gemstore, and that's totally understandable. If that's the case for you, then my advice is to wait until the infinite volatile magic gathering tools go on sale. This bundle will give you all 3 tools at a discount, and all of them will have one of the best glyphs in the game for getting additional rewards from harvesting nodes. Speaking of nodes, let's go over the home instance node packs and farming plots. The bottom line for these is that they take a very long time to pay off, even if you farm them daily with high value glyphs in your tools. The Gemstore node packs take around 5 to 10 years to break even on. The farming plots aren't quite as bad, but still take over 1 year, even if you only farm ascended ingredients. So just to be clear, these items are not an investment in your account and they will not produce any appreciable return. However, filling your home instance can be an endgame goal that's a little bit different from the normal legendary gear and infusions that most people gravitate towards. Sharing your home instance is also a great way to get more value out of it and help other players without just handing them gold. If you're doing it for one of those 2 reasons, then by all means, go ahead and buy the node packs and farming plots. Next, we have the recharging teleport to friend. This lets you teleport to someone in your party or squad once per hour. Most players won't use up that many of the single-use teleport to friend items, and so they can just use those to port new characters around or to finish certain achievements. However, if you really like using teleport to friend often and you've already gone through all your single-use ones, then this item may be appealing for you. In a similar vein, we have the portal devices for Central Tyria world bosses and Heart of Thorns meta events. You don't really need these because you can get the same information on event timers using sites like GW2timer.com or an add-on like Taco or Blishhut. However, if you run these events often and want a game-integrated method of tracking them, as well as the ability to teleport to them without waypoints, then these portal devices might be worth the purchase for you. It should go without saying that cosmetics and deluxe edition upgrades are purely personal preference, and you'll need to decide for yourself if the money or gold is worth it for those items. Before we move on to things that you just flat out should never buy, there's one more thing that falls at the very bottom of personal preference, which is Black Lion chest keys. Black Lion chests are the loot boxes of Guild Wars 2, and like most other loot boxes in video games, they're rigged. There's a couple of cosmetic items in each chest rotation called Black Lion chest exclusives. If you want them, then you will have to buy or farm Black Lion keys. If you don't care about the exclusive skins, then you should absolutely never buy the keys. I know some people buy Black Lion keys on a regular basis because the game doesn't have a subscription and they still want to support its development. If that's you, then it's great that you want to support the game. However, my recommendation would be to put those gems towards some of the other upgrades previously discussed in this video. Things like character slots or shared inventory spaces might give a better value for your gems. You could also just convert gems to gold or even buy stuff from the Guild Wars 2 merch site instead, and you'll get a lot more value for your support of the game. Finally, we're onto the things that you should absolutely never buy. Noob traps, scams, ripoffs, you can call them whatever you want. Just don't buy them. Mostly, we're talking about consumables of any sort. It doesn't really matter what it is, it's not going to be a good value. Boosters can be bought with laurels and also earned from level ups and certain personal story chapters. There's no need to spend gems on them. Black Lion salvage kits and Mystic Forge stones will trickle into your account from login rewards for free, and flat out are not worth what they cost in the Gemstore. Transmutation charges are fairly easy to come by with regular gameplay, and you just don't need to buy them. Food and utility primers cost way more than just buying additional food and utility items would, so there's no point in getting them. The merchant, trading post, and bank access express items will trickle into your account from achievement chests and login rewards, but are needlessly expensive to buy with gems. If you really want those conveniences, there's permanent contracts that you can buy for each of those services, and it will be cheaper in the long term to get those instead of buying the consumable ones. This is also true for the upgrade extractor and the self-style hair kit. Although, if you're only changing your hair one time, the consumable one might be fine. Similarly, the 2-week banker golem and 2-week lounge passkeys are just a waste of gems. If you want those things, you should just buy the permanent bank access contract and permanent lounge passkeys instead. The permanent bank access contract definitely comes at a high price, but there's absolutely no point in buying the banking golem again every 2 weeks. The instant level 80 boost and waypoint unlock package are both not worth how much they cost for how little time and effort they save you. Guild Wars 2 is not an MMO that is focused on grinding to get to the end game, so just explore and enjoy playing the game to get your levels and waypoints organically. Die kits are basically the same deal as Black Lion chest keys, except you can actually buy the dice from the trading post and it's cheaper to do so don't gamble on the kits. So that just about covers the Gemstore items that you should get, avoid, and everything in between. Hopefully this video helped you to understand what's best in the Gemstore and why. If it did, I'd appreciate you taking the time to give the video a like and maybe even subscribe for more Guild Wars 2 guides in the future. Thanks for watching.